If you're using Performance Max, you'll often see two alerts related to search terms and keywords. So, one are search terms from PMax to make search keywords, and a second one is search terms from PMax that exist as search keywords. So, when we see these, we can open up the alert and then go to our PMax data to view that information. Now, you will see a pop up error reminding you of something very specific, and this is if you have blocked search terms. In other words, if we've taken a keyword and we've made it a negative keyword, by default, we filter out those search terms so you won't see them and deal with redundant data you've already worked with. The blocked search terms data only works for the last 30 days. It doesn't work on other time frames. Everything else is completely accurate. Now, what we're looking for when we look at PMax are places where we have good conversions that are not keywords in a search campaign because we want to make those keywords. Now, the reason why is how PMax works with search. Now, if you want a deep dive, you can read our entire article that goes really deep into this information. But essentially, there's two hierarchy pieces to be aware of. One is if the search term matches a search keyword exactly, then search generally shows over PMax, especially if that keyword is exact match. Now, if you don't have that keyword in a search campaign, then Google does their whole algorithm system to decide if PMax or search should show for that search term. And what we find overall is that Google has a tendency to show PMax more often than search when you don't have those keywords. And then when we think about it from a performance standpoint, when this same search term comes from a search campaign versus PMax, it generally has a higher click-through rate, it generally has a much higher conversion rate, and a much higher return on ad spend. So this is where we want to see where do we have these conversions that aren't keywords. Then we can select on these particular words and go ahead and make them keywords in a search ad group. And then we can choose what campaign, what ad group we want those added to. Now, when you have shopping campaigns, you're going to have some overlap, and you can see your high overlap numbers across your account very easily. Now, the reason why is Google doesn't define if a search term from PMax was displayed because of a product ad being displayed or a search ad. So if you have product ads, you're always going to have some overlap. Now, if you have a search term that's coming from both PMax and search, then you can also view that data to do a comparison of which one's performing better. Now, again, if we look at our search terms from PMax and we see ones that aren't converting well, then we can also make those negative keywords and then choose the match site for the negative, what campaign do we want it added to, or what account do we want it added to, and so forth. And so by keeping an eye on your PMax search terms, making sure your top search terms by conversions are added as keywords in search campaigns, and then ones not performing well are added as negative keywords. You'll make sure that your PMax campaign isn't cannibalizing your search campaign and that they're both working well together.